In this video, we'll be creating an echo text effect using geometry nodes in Blender. So let's get started. Let's get into it. I have a clean fresh Blender scene here, and I'm gonna delete the default cube and the light here. Now I'm gonna go into top view with numpad 7, and I'm gonna hit Ctrl-Alt-0 to align the camera to our current view. Now let's select our camera object, go into the camera properties and change it from a perspective type to a orthographic type. I'm gonna change the orthographic scale to 35, and I will show you why I do this later on. Now let's go over to the world properties and change the gray color to be completely black because we don't want any light in our scene. Now let's add in a new object, and in this case I'm going to add in a curve object of the type path. Tap into edit mode, hit A to select everything, and hit X to delete all the vertices. Select our draw tool and draw in any curve that you want. Tap out of edit mode and let's hop on over to the geometry nodes workspace. Alright, so in geometry nodes, let's select our curve object and hit new. Disable the current link by holding Ctrl and right click dragging over the link. Now let's add in a string to curves node and start working on our text. So string to curves and plug that into the geometry output here. Now I'm going to take the actual string output over here and plug it into the group input. This will allow us to control the text from within our modifier here. So I'm going to type in echo and change the alignment to be center and the baseline to be middle. So we now have a perfectly centered text. Now I'm also going to take this size and plug it into the group input and change the size to be 3 meters. Let's change our font as well. I will be using this one, but change it to anything that you want. I will be putting links in the description with several free websites to get good fonts. Now, I do think these names are a bit convoluted, so instead I'm going to change them to be words that make more sense. So change the string to text in my case, and I'm going to change the size here to be text size. So we have control over the actual size of the text and the actual text input. Now we want to fill in this text object, and it's a curve. So we basically need just the fill curve node. So I'm going to add in a fill curve node and plug it in between. This will now fill in our object here. And it will also create some geometry to work with. So if we go into wireframe mode, we have some geometry over here. We don't need this geometry to actually do anything for the wireframe that we want to put around it. So the outline that we'll be creating, but we do need it to fill in all the blank spots. So basically make sure that the objects behind our current text object aren't visible except for the parts that are outside of our object. It will show you why this works later on. So what we want to do is we want to create an outline around the perimeter of each letter. So we can't use this mesh output here, but instead let's just reuse the string to curves node. So if we click on a value and we drag it, and we will get this plus icon next to our mouse arrow. Let it go, and we can now look up any node that we want, and it will be automatically connected. So I'm going to look up a curve to mesh node and just hit enter. Now let's take this into the group output over here. And we now need a curve profile to actually get something visible here. So I'm going to add in a circle node, but instead of just looking it up, I'm going to take this output over here, click and drag, and now look up circle and take the curve circle output and plug it over here. Let's go back to solid view, and we will now have a very thick echo text, I guess. So instead, let's make the radius a bit smaller, and I found that 0.03 works fine for this video, but use a different value if you want a thicker or a thinner outline. Now we don't need any resolution because this will be a emissive object anyways, so you won't be able to tell how much geometry there is. So I'm just going to set this to 3, and it will make everything nice and responsive as well. All right, now let's decouple these two again, and we want to join these two together. There's actually a very convenient way of doing this, and that's just by holding Control and Shift, right click and drag, and just selecting both of these. We'll get this green effect, and just let it go, and it will automatically be joined in a join geometry node. So let's plug this into the group output, and now we will have both the outline as the actual filled in text object. Now to get this the way we want it to look, we need 2 material nodes. So I'm going to add in a set material node and plug it into the fill curve there, and just duplicate it and do the same with this one. So now we need 2 materials as well. So I'm just going to add in 2 material slots in the material tab over here. Add in the first one, which I'm going to call black, and the second one, which I'm going to call white. But obviously you can change these colors to anything that you want. So for the black value, I'm going to use a base color of completely black, and I'm going to change the specular value to be completely 0. And this will make sure that there isn't any light being caught by the geometry over here. So everything will just look flat black, and that's what we want. Now for the white, I'm going to change the emission to be white, and I'm going to change the emission strength to be about 5. So if you go into render view now, everything is still completely black, and that's because we haven't selected any materials here. So I'm going to select the black material for the fill curve node and the white material for the curve to mesh node. Now let's make sure we go into the render properties over here and let's enable bloom so we get a nice bloom effect around it. All right, so this is all the stuff we need to do for the text input. So I'm just going to put a frame around all of this. Let's rename this frame as well. So hit N, open up this menu and change the label to be something like text input or so. And there you go. All right, so let's delink this again with Control, right click and drag. And let's go over to solid view up here. And what we want to do now is want to add in another group input node. Now let's take our geometry output over here and plug it into the group output. Now we have our original curve back. And let's start working on creating the points, or basically the array of text. So what we have is this curve, and this curve has a default resolution of 12. We want to control this within our geometry node system. So we will use a resample curve node. And this will basically change the amount of points we have from over here 0 to 1. So in this case, it will use 10, or if I use 100, it will be smoother. Instead of actually doing it like this, though, I will be using the length property, and I will show you why later on. So I'm going to change the length to be 0.3, but instead of doing it in here, I'm going to take it into the group input as well. So into a new output over here, let's change this and let's rename this text density. So why text density, you'll see in a bit. Now let's add in a trim curve node and just take this over here. What the trim curve node does is basically it will allow us to animate our curves. So if we change this end value, we can actually change start to end. And if we change the start value, we can do the exact opposite. We will use these two values to actually animate our effect later on. But for now, let's leave it like so. Instead, let's take an instance on points node and plug this in between here. Now we want to instance all of our text here, and we will create one big mess of geometry. So if I go into the render view, you will see everything is now intersecting and it's just one complete chaos. You can't tell anything. You can't even read the text basically. So it's not working. And we need a way to change that. Now, like I said before, we have the text density value, and we could change this to be, a different number entirely. So maybe change it to 3 or so, and it will sort of change the amount of text we have here, but still it's not very legible. And instead we need a way to actually offset our curve here. So let me just take this trim curve now, plug it into the group output so we can actually see why it's doing what it's doing. And if we go into front view with numpad 1, you will see this is just one complete flat line because I drew it from the top down face. So what we actually need is we need this thing to go up so all of our text is sort of not intersecting. And we could use a set position node for that. So let's plug in a set position node in between the resample curve node and the trim curve node. And now we have this thing over here, which we could actually use to get this effect. However, instead of just moving the entire thing up, what we want Blender to say, okay, we have 0.0 over here and we have 0.1 over here, and we have all of these points in between. And I want to make sure that this thing goes something like this. So over here, we don't want any change, and over here, we want a lot of change. That's actually very, very easy to do. And that's because we have this convenient node called a spline parameter. So over here, we have the spline parameter, and it has this factor and it has this length. And if we take the length and we plug it into the offset over here, you will see this is exactly what we are getting. However, it's also doing stuff on all the other axes. So let's make sure it only works on the Z axis. So let's take a combine XYZ node, plug it in between, and let's plug this thing into the Z layer here. So now it only does this on the Z axis, and the effect is actually a bit strong. And I want it to be a bit less drastic, especially because it's now intersecting with our camera over here. So we could just move the camera up as well, but instead, let me just show you how to do this another way. So let's add in a vector math node, plug it in between, and set this to scale. Where are you? There you are. Now let's set the scale to 0.5 and it will be smaller. So basically, if we change this value, it will change. So I'm going to set this to 0.5. I think that works fine. Maybe a bit less, 0.4. Let's make sure it's not intersecting with our camera. All right, so that's all done. And we are good to go on the array here. And now if we re-enable our instance on points node and take our trim curve into here and go into top view here, into render view, you will see this is exactly what we wanted. Nice. Let's add in a frame here as well. Take all of our nodes, plug them in here, and let's rename this frame to be, I don't know, let's say it's our array. Final step is to actually create the animation. So we need to change these two values. And conveniently, we now have a new node in Blender 3.1. So make sure you are using Blender 3.1. And if we go over here, drag this thing, we can look up a scene time node. Now I will be using the seconds output, and this will allow us to actually animate this value according to the amount of time that has passed in our animation. So if we now couple this scene time to the end value as well, so over here, let's connect it to the end value. Now let's just combine these two together. You will see we now get this effect. So basically what it does, it goes, and basically the start point and the end point are both at the exact same time. So you will only see one. So we need a way to actually change a few things here. First of all, I think the speed is a bit fast. So I'm going to change the speed here by adding in a math node, plugging it in between here and setting this thing to divide. Now, if I take this value and set it to something like 3 or so, you will see that we can make it slower. So say I move this up a lot, you will see it becomes way slower. So we have some control over the overall speed. Now I want this control over here in the modifiers. So I'm going to add another group input node, take it below here and take our divide value over there and plug it into the group input. Now I'm going to rename this thing as well. And I'm going to name this overall speed. All right, so that works pretty much fine. But the other thing is that our tail is moving at exactly the same speed, and that's not something that we want. So let's duplicate our divide node here and plug it into the start value there. Now let me just create some space to work with here. All right. So we have this divide node as well. Instead of using a divide node, I want to use a multiply node because I think it makes a bit more sense for the speed. And I'm going to take this value and plug it into the group input as well. Let's rename this thing and let's call it something like tail speed. And what we need is a small value. So 0.1 will make it really, really slow. And if we set this to 1, it will just be exactly the same speed. So, let's set it to a different value. I'm going to go for 0.5 or so. A bit more, 0.7. So yeah, I think 0.7 works perfectly fine for this animation. And this will now give us control over the overall speed, the tail speed, the text density. So by increasing this to 0.1, we get a lot more copies in here. So, and if we set this to 1, we get a few of these and give different results. Instead, I'm just going to leave it at the 0.3, which I had for default, which I think looks best. Now let's add in a frame here as well. Let's take all of these nodes, plug them in there, and let's rename this one to be the animation. All right, so now we have a completely clean setup and we have all control within our modifier over here, and it's looking mighty fine. And basically this is the entire effect. Only thing I want to do is I want to add a little bit of compositing to finalize the way it looks. So let's hop on over to compositing here. First of all, let's select a frame which looks cool. I'll use this one. Hop on over to compositing, hit use nodes, Control Shift and click on the render layers node to actually add in our viewer node here, and shift and right click and drag over these two, combine them. And what we want to do now is we want to hit render image. It will be nice and fast. Zoom out a little bit with V. I'm going to add in a lens distortion node. That's actually the only node we're going to add in. And what I want to do here, I want to add dispersion. So let's set this to 1 for now, and we will get this dramatic dispersion effect. Instead, I want to use projector, which will sort of create a 3D look. It will give these blue, green, and red edges on the side, creating a sort of 3D look. I think the effect is a bit strong, so instead I'm going to use 0.3, which I think looks a bit better. And I'm going to duplicate this lens distortion node, disable the projector effect, disable the dispersion, set the distortion to -0.1 to get a bit of distortion, and I'm going to enable jitter. Now, what jitter does is basically it will add in this noise. So no noise and noise. And since this is quite a retro effect, I think the jitter really adds to it. So I'm going to leave that on. And that's basically it. Now you can just hit render, and I will show you how to do that real quick. Over here, let's change this to FFmpeg video, go into encoding and change this to MP4, and set the output quality to be perceptually lossless. Choose the save location of your choosing, and you're good to go. You can now hit render animation. All right, so that wraps up the entire video. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to point out that the project file for this video is available on my Patreon, so please consider becoming a patron. It really helps the channel out a lot. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Thanks to the following patrons for supporting the channel: